1. Pussy Riot Russian punk rockers. When members of the Russian feminist punk activist group Pussy Riot were arrested in 2012 after performing anti-Vladimir Putin protest piece in a Moscow church, the news made headlines worldwide. A subsequent trial found Maria Alyokhina, Nadezhda Tolokonnikova, Yekaterina Samutsevich guilty of hooliganism motivated by religious hatred and sentenced them to 2 years in prison. The trio were freed later that same year following intense campaigning for the release and Putin's introduction of a new amnesty law. Since their release, Alyokhina and Tolokonnikova have gone on to form a human rights group that fights for prison reform.
2. Petr Pavlensky, Russian artist. Russian artist Petr Pavlensky's infamous protest performances, which include sewing his mouth shut in 2012 to protest against the jailing of fellow activists Pussy Riot and nailing his scrotum to the cobblestones of Moscow's Red Square in 2013, have placed him at the forefront of Russia's contemporary art scene, but also caught the attention of disproving authorities. Pavlensky's last stunt, in which he set fire to stacks of tires in an act of solidarity with protesters in Ukraine, saw the artist arrested and charged with vandalism. In a strange turn of events, Pavlensky, while being interviewed about the charges, managed to convince government investigator Pavel Yasman of the importance of his art and gained another steadfast supporter.
3. Jafar Panahi, Iranian film director. Iranian film director Jafar Panahi's controversial films, including the 2000 drama The Circle, a critique of the restrictions placed upon women in Iran, have so enraged Iranian authorities that Panahi has been arrested several times. Most recently, in 2010, Panahi was convicted of making propaganda against the Iranian state and placed under house arrest, banned from directing films for 20 years and forbidden from traveling abroad. Panahi's indefatigable spirit cannot be quelled, however, since the filmmaking ban was imposed. He has made 3 films including This Is Not a Film, a documentary detailing his house arrest smuggled out of Iran on a flash drive hidden in a birthday cake, and Taxi, which went on to win the Golden Bear Award for Best Film at the 2015 Berlin International Film Festival.
4. Danilo Maldonado Machado aka El Sexto, Cuban graffiti and performance artist. Since late December 2014, Cuban graffiti and performance artist Danilo Maldonado Machado, aka El Sexto, has been held in Havana's Valle Grande prison after being arrested whilst transporting 2 pigs with the names Fidel and Raul, a reference to the Castro brothers, painted on them to a performance piece. El Sexto, who was awarded the 2015 Václav Havel International Prize for Creative Dissent, is still awaiting trial 9 months later, and reportedly state security officials have told the artist and his family on several occasions that his release is imminent, only to later renege on their word. Currently on hunger strike, El Sexto's friends, family and supporters continue to campaign for his release.
5. Iyy, Chinese contemporary artist and activist. Iyy, born August 28, 1957 in Beijing, is a Chinese contemporary artist and activist. Iyy is well known for his provocative art and the 81 days he spent in jail on spurious charges of economic crimes. As a political activist, he has been highly and openly critical of the Chinese government's stance on democracy and human rights. He has investigated government corruption and cover-ups, In particular the Sichuan schools corruption scandal following the collapse of so-called tofu drug schools in the 2008 Sichuan earthquake.
6. Manaz Mohammadi, Iranian filmmaker. Manaz Mohammadi, the Iranian filmmaker and women's rights activist whose works include her award-winning 2003 debut Women Without Shadows, a short documentary following women living in a state-run shelter for the homeless, has been arrested 3 times to date and banned from making films. Her last arrest in June 2011, based on bogus claims that Mohammadi had collaborated with the BBC and committed espionage on behalf of the network, resulted in a 5-year jail term at Tehran's notorious 7 prison. At the Cannes Film Festival in 2011, which she was unable to attend as her passport had been confiscated by Iranian authorities, film director Kosta Gavris read a letter from Mohammadi in which she stated, "I am a woman, I am a filmmaker, 2 sufficient grounds to be guilty in this country."
7. Alyokhina, Moroccan rapper. Mouad Belgouat, better known by his moniker Alyokhina, which translates from Arabic as the Enraged, is a Moroccan rapper whose provocative, political songs condemn widespread poverty and corruption in his homeland. Since releasing his hit song Baraka Minutes El Skate, Stop the Silence, in 2011, which impelled Moroccans to protest against their government's monopoly on major industries. Alyokhina has been arrested 3 times on Trump 2 charges, the last resulting in a 4-month prison sentence. In June 2015, a concert the rapper was due to perform at in Casablanca was abruptly called off by police who blocked off the venue and cut its electricity.
8. Oleg Sentsov, Ukrainian filmmaker. In August 2015, Ukrainian filmmaker and activist Oleg Sentsov, the man behind the 2011 film Gamer, was sentenced to 20 years in prison after a Russian court found him guilty of terrorism in a trial described by an Amnesty International researcher as Stalinist era. Sentsov was arrested in May 2014 after protesting Russia's annexation of Crimea and since held on remand, during which he suffered brutality at the hands of authorities whom Sentsov says have beaten and tortured him. Film industry figureheads and human rights groups are currently rallying for Sentsov, a single father of 2, to be released.
9. Zargana, Burmese comedian. A popular comedian and outspoken critic of Burma's former military government, Zargana is credited with reviving Anant, a vaudeville-like Burmese theatre tradition that Zargana employed to satirize the government. In 2006, the comedian was banned from performing in public or participating in any nature of entertainment work, and in 2008 Zargana was sentenced to 59 years in prison for publicly criticizing the Burmese government's mishandling of the humanitarian crisis that occurred following devastating Cyclone Nargis that hit the country that same year. Thankfully, Zargana was released 3 years later alongside 120 other political prisoners as part of the new Burmese government's amnesty plans. 10. Bassem Youssef, Egyptian comedian. Bassem Refat Mohammed Youssef is an Egyptian comedian, writer, producer, physician, media critic, and television host, who hosted Al Barnamij, The Show, a satirical news program, from 2011 to 2014. The press has compared Youssef with American comedian Jon Stewart, whose satire program The Daily Show inspired Youssef to begin his career. In 2013, He was named one of the 100 most influential people in the world by Time magazine. Yousef's current projects are Tickling Giants, The Democracy Handbook, and Revolution for Dummies.